Hey everyone, it's Kenlin and happy new moon in Taurus. This is your activation for this new moon. So it's intense. There's not much I can say other than intensity, and everyone's feeling it. So maybe there's some comfort in knowing that you are not alone. Everybody is feeling this level of intensity, no matter what it is inside of their lives, because even if one person's stable, somebody else they know is not stable. So let's presence a few things that we need to know to make it through and not just survive, but thrive. One of the things we need to know is this is happening for us and not against us, that this is part of what we signed up for. It always helps me to have a broader context for what's happening. And what's happening is, we keep saying this, the old is breaking down. We've been saying that since 2020, yeah, 2020. And it's true. And it's not a one-shot deal. Breakdown is over time. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, it didn't fall in a day. It's breaking down. And we can see that happening in the economic sectors right now. Because Pluto, the Lord of Death and Rebirth, hit a wrecking ball into the second house of the United States. That second house governs money and land and resources and territory. And that's where the Pluto return, every 200, and I think it's 46 years, as Pluto makes its way back to where it was in the birth chart. So no humans ever gone through this, but countries have gone through this. And during this time, they've gone through wars, real reinventions. Maybe world powers lost their world power because Pluto is all about power. How have you used your power? And it's a reckoning. And the United States has become corrupt. Let's face it, it's become corrupt. It's all kinds of scams and schemes, and government officials and people in authority have really benefited financially from the backs of other people. And that kind of shit just has got to go. So that means the whole system has to go, because the system was built not for that, but that's what happened inside of the system. So a new system gets to be built. And that is exactly what's happening right now. So when we know that, we can make space for that. And we can hold our drishti, hold our gaze inside of that. And this is the time for spiritual practice. I was just talking to a friend and I said, how did you make it through your labor? She said she had a like 36-hour labor and a long time ago. And I said, did the midwives coach you? And she's like, no. She said, it was my own spiritual practice. And I was like, bam, there you go. That's the message for right now. It's your spiritual practice. How are you holding that drishti? Because the truth is, it's going to take that, and you've been preparing. So I know you've been preparing. I've been preparing. And yet we get to be in the conversation and we get to be together, because it's going to take just heroic efforts at this moment. So we have a new moon coming up. That's the whole point of why I'm talking. New moon coming up on the 18th of May. So let's presence what's all happening. There's a few big things happening. Taurus is the showstopper right now. All the planets, five or celestial bodies in Taurus. Also, we can say that one of them is Jupiter. Jupiter moved into Taurus for the next 12 months. Jupiter is an expander, also good fortune. So I believe that you can have whatever it is you want to have. And at the same time, there's going to be narratives of a lot of falling apart. Jupiter expanding the shifting and the changing of what's happening. We also have a fixed grand square that's happening at the same time as this new moon, and that's fixed signs. So if you think of these fixed signs, they don't move. They are They are forces to be reckoned with. They're like, think of just solid rock. Those are fixed signs, and they are in a grand square to each other, or a grand cross. They're like, and that means things happen. So we're not at this time where we're hoping things will happen or we have to act to make things happen. No, things are happening in your personal life as well as in the collective. But the good news is Pluto's making a trine to the nodes of the moon. So it's really acting as big new rebirth. So just potential for rebirth. And I love that linking up with the new moon. It's a potential for rebirth because the moon is the void. So what do we want to manifest from the void? Everything in 3D, everything that's manifest comes from the unmanifest first. It's a vision, it's a dream, it's an idea, and it gets manifested through our action in 3D reality. So this is a time to dream. This is a time of birth. And when you birth a baby, they don't go to college. You birth a baby who needs you, who you must tend to. So right now, I just take it as we're in labor pains. Like it's just contraction and expansion. The contraction is for the purpose of expansion. And when you raise your voice as the divine feminine leader that you are, and you stand for an economic world that reflects feminine values, not just patriarchal, toxic, wounded values of hoarding and cheating, lying, stealing. No, we are saying no to that. And when we take a stand for something else, for a world where there's win-win, we will prevail. This is the moment to have that vision for ourselves and for others, because the way we even have been working, the way we've been making money, all of that gets to shift and change. I mean, isn't it time for a change? I remember when I had my corporate job, I just kept thinking, why am I doing this? I'm making enough money so that I can pay for being there to make the money. And it felt like there was no gain. I was just receiving it, putting it back in, receiving it, putting it back in. And I was like, for what? Is this advancing my dharma? Is this advancing who I am? And I stayed there as long as it was. And then the answer became no. And so I got to find something else more aligned. And that's, I'm not going to lie, has been a bumpy road, because the pathway to figuring out who you are and what your dharma is often takes trial and error, the willingness to do different things, to get feedback as to who you are. And now here I am running the Evolving Sisters Network and having a clear vision and riding this wave of change, of pivot, of being with what's true, rather than a plan about, about what's true, right? So this is the opportunity of the moment. It's an incredible opportunity that we will look back on. And in the moment, it's just like being in childbirth, not super fun, but very focused, because you know that your goal, that your aim, your outcome is to deliver that baby. All right. So my prayers are with you for this new moon, and may all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts.